Welcome back to CineScript, where movies get retold, scene by scene. Today, we dive into Tomorrowland, a futuristic adventure packed with mystery, invention, and a secret world beyond imagination. Once upon a time, in 1964, a really smart kid named Frank headed to the New York World's Fair. He wanted to join a competition for inventors. When he showed his jetpack invention to Judge Nix, the judge kinda liked it at first, but when Frank admitted it didn't work well, yet Judge Nix changed his mind and said Frank couldn't join the contest until it worked properly. Poor Frank felt super sad because he remembered his dad saying he was wasting his time. Then a lady named Athena, who worked with Judge Nix, felt sorry for Frank. She secretly gave him a cool pin with an orange color and a blue T on it. She asked him to follow her and Judge Nix without anyone noticing. Later, Frank saw Judge Nick and his friends waiting in a long line for a fun ride. Sneaky Frank found a way to slide in and hop onto an empty boat nearby. As the ride chugged along, Frank's pin triggered something, and suddenly a hidden door opened up, leading the boat into a dark tunnel. It was all high-tech and futuristic. When Frank stepped into this cool-looking wagon, everything changed fast. Metal blinds covered all the doors and windows, and the wagon started shaking like crazy. Poor Frank tumbled and couldn't stand up until the wild ride ended when the doors finally opened. Frank found himself on a platform surrounded by thick fog, and guess what? He spotted a flying car zipping by with Athena and Nix inside, eager to catch up. Frank made a move, but then these huge robots popped up trying to block him. He dashed around, trying to dodge their robotic arms, but oops, he fell down to the lower platform, and that fall messed up his jetpack pack. But wait, there's a twist. A friendly robot showed up, snatched the broken jetpack, fixed it up real quick, and handed it back to Frank. Nice. Save in that moment, a group of guards appeared out of nowhere, making Frank step back and, you guessed it, fall once more. But this time he had his trusty jetpack strapped on. He activated it and soared up into the sky, finally flying, thanks to the robot's quick fixes through the fog. Frank discovered Tomorrowland, this super futuristic city where only the smartest folks lived, spotting Athena. Frank landed beside her, eager to show Nix that he'd fixed the jetpack, but Nix just brushed him off. Athena, though, took Frank's hand and gave him a glimpse of his future. Jump forward in time to 2015. There's this teen named Casey sneaking into a NASA launch site down in Florida. She's trying to mess with the machines because she doesn't want her dad, who works at NASA, to lose his job. Sneaky Athena is there, watching it all. From the shadows, after Casey heads back home, Athena uses a small scanner to grab Casey, his DNA from her bike helmet, and codes it into her very last Tomorrowland pin. One morning, Casey, his dad, Eddie, gets a call from work explaining what's going on. Casey believes she saved her dad's job, but Eddie shares that they're bringing in new cranes, so Casey should stop trying to interfere. However, Casey insists that holding on to hope is crucial. In the evening, Casey attempts to sabotage the demolition again, but this time the police are ready and waiting. She ends up getting arrested after a few hours. Someone pays her bail and Casey collects her things to go home. Among her belongings, she discovers the pin. When she touches it, she sees a vision of a different place, but the pin falls. Trying again, the same thing happens. On the next attempt, Casey grabs the pin properly and finds herself looking at a huge city. In the distance, excited to explore, she tries to walk towards it, but the pin falls and she's back in jail because moving around made her bump into things to avoid more trouble. Casey picks up the pin using a gum wrapper. In a flash, Eddie arrives to collect Casey after paying the bail on their ride back. He's pretty upset about what happened and gives Casey an earful. She insists he touch the pin, saying it'll explain everything, but when Eddie touches it, nothing happens. Perplexed, Casey touches it herself and poof, she's in that other world, realizing this pin only works for her. Eddie's had enough of Casey going on about the pin and takes it away once they're home. Casey waits for Eddie to doze off before swiping the pin from his nightstand. The moment she touches it, she's transported to that other world, trying to walk toward the distant city. She bumps into the walls and even takes a tumble down the stairs, waking Eddie up. Casey hides and decides to try this pin business elsewhere. She heads to a vast field, touches the pin, and finally lands in Tomorrowland while riding the train deeper into the city. Casey notices the pin has a countdown timer. Stranger still, nobody can see her when the train stops. She spots some important-looking scientists boarding a unique wagon, wanting to follow them. She's suddenly surrounded by water as the pin's timer ticks down. Ignoring the water, she pushes on. But Tomorrowland Tomorrowland vanishes, leaving her in a swamp back home. Casey wakes up her brother Nate and asks for their dad's computer password together. They hunt online for info about the pin. They stumble upon a store willing to buy these pins from anyone. Casey jots down the shop's address and asks Nate to cover for her, saying she's going camping with friends in the morning. Athena turns up at the house and Nate tries to cover for Casey with the camping story. Athena sees through the FIB and keeps pressing Nate until he spills the beans. Meanwhile, Casey arrives at the shop she found in the ad. The quirky clerks there are clearly intrigued by the pin. They confirm that what Casey experienced was real. Tomorrowland exists as a place where brilliant minds create. Without limits accessible only through the pin, they're eager to buy the pin and dig into where Casey found it. But when she refuses to cooperate, things take a wild turn. The clerks hit a button, locking the door, and reveal some seriously futuristic weapons that shoot plasma. Casey tries to hide among the merchandise, but the clerks locate her and demand information about a certain girl. A sudden grenade shatters through the window. Trapping the clerks in a force field, Athena storms in armed, revealing it's a time bomb with a short fuse. She helps Casey escape the field, but that shuts off the bomb, freeing the clerks to counterattack. Athena engages them in hand-to-hand combat, while Casey pitches in by hurling merchandise their way. Then, shockingly, Athena removes one of the clerks' heads, revealing they were both animatronics, warning that the animatronics are about to self-destruct Athena. Whisk Casey out of the shop just before the explosion rips through it. Athena smashes a car window, pushes Casey inside, and uses a special tool to start the car as they speed away. She explains they need to flee before they catch up as they speed down the road. Casey's curiosity gets the better of her, and she starts asking Athena questions. Athena reveals she's the one who gave Casey the pin, but before she can share more, Athena suddenly starts malfunctioning. Casey watches in shock as Athena fixes herself. She's an animatronic too. Terrified, Casey leaps out of the car. Athena tries to follow, but when she steps onto the road, a truck collides with her. The concerned driver rushes over to check on Athena, seizing the opportunity. Casey takes off in the truck to escape. Yet Athena, seemingly unharmed, swiftly catches up, leaping through the window to snatch the keys and lock the door, trapping Casey inside amid Casey's frantic yelling. Athena finally quiets her down, explaining that Casey is her last hope and they urgently need to head to Tomorrowland because of a great mistake they made. Meanwhile, cops arrive at the exploded store, discovering a burnt robot head, but their investigation is interrupted. When a man named Dave appears claiming to be from the Secret Service, he spots the robot head, pulls out a futuristic weapon, and takes down all the cops, turning to his companions. He declares they found the girl and insists they inform Nix Casey and Athena are en route to New York, aiming to find the only person who can help them return to Tomorrowland. Casey tries to dig for more info about others with pins, but Athena abruptly shuts down, leaving Casey with unanswered questions the next morning. Athena wakes up and takes the wheel, allowing Casey to get some rest. Athena shares that they're heading to see someone named Frank. When Casey dozes off, Athena reminisces about the good times she used to have with her friend after hours of driving. Casey wakes up to find herself being pushed off the truck in front of a house in the countryside, seeing Athena drive away. Casey is left with no choice but to approach the house. However, a guard dog chases her as Casey trips and falls into the mud. She realizes the dog leaves no prints, it's a hologram, ignoring the fake beast. Casey knocks on the door and shows her pin to the camera, requesting to be taken to Tomorrowland. A sudden burst of air pushes her back, and an older Frank emerges from the house, demanding to know where Athena is upon learning she's gone. Frank gets angry and insists Casey leave, asserting that Tomorrowland is nothing but a manipulative lie. He retreats into his house and locks the door. Despite the rain, Casey refuses to give up and waits outside. Feeling weary from waiting, Casey decides to take matters into her own hands. She starts a fire on the plowing truck, prompting Frank to leave the house to deal with the flames. Seizing the opportunity, Casey dashes inside and locks the door behind her when Frank attempts to re-enter. Casey uses the same burst of air to push him back. Exploring the house, Casey discovers a trove of eccentric inventions. Among them is a machine, playing a record of little Frank trying to make Athena laugh, with Athena telling him to stop trying. In another room, she stumbled upon screens keeping track of the news and a timer slowly ticking down. Just as Frank returns, prepared to kick Casey out, she manages to persuade him to share some answers. Frank discloses that he was expelled from Tomorrowland for constructing something forbidden. The timer linked to the screens he contemplates revealing to Casey the date of her death, and surprisingly, she agrees to know. However, she reflects that accepting her fate might inadvertently cause it. She insists on the importance of shaping one's destiny, leading the percentage on the screen to drop, leaving Frank astounded. Their conversation gets cut short by the sudden arrival of Dave and his agent's robots disguised as humans searching for Casey. Amidst the chaos, Frank triggers all the metal blinds fortifying the house. Despite his efforts, a robot manages to force its way inside, prompting Frank to use a tool to electrocute her. Another robot falls victim to an electrical trap on the wall, while Frank ingeniously dispatches two more by sending them tumbling through a concealed trappo. Rushing to the living room, they face another robot. Frank engages in a fierce hand-to-hand combat with Casey, assisting by utilizing a special portal machine to immobilize the robot escaping upstairs. More robots fall into the house's various traps, but Dave catches up wielding a gun and aiming it at Frank. In a stroke of luck, Casey discovers a bat and subdues Dave, allowing Frank to pull her into the bathroom. They jump into the tub and Frank activates it, transforming the tub into a capsule. Another robot attempts to seize the tub, but Frank launches it just in time, sending the capsule flying and landing in a lake. They swim ashore and head into the woods where Frank has stashed a bike. Unfortunately, the bike won't start, adding to their predicament. As a light approaches Casey and Frank brace themselves, but it turns out to be Athena arriving to pick them up. The trio hops into the truck, but tension soon erupts between Frank and Athena. Secrets spill out, all the pins were meant to be destroyed, and Athena escaped with the last batch of 12 to continue recruiting people. Frank is livid, accusing Athena of deceiving recruits. He reveals RS to Casey that Athena doesn't shut down when asked too many questions, it's just her way of ignoring you. Frank believes Athena fabricates emotions to draw people in, only to abandon them later, though hurt by Frank's accusations. Athena chooses to ignore it for the moment and drives them to a local station where Frank has a secret network set up, linking it to his house there. They find another capsule waiting. After donning the necessary protective gear, they activate the system, which teleports them away to parts unknown. Upon arrival, Casey realizes they're at top the tower. A guard stands near the door, but Frank, equipped with a variety of inventions in his bag, provides Casey with a tool that can knock out the guard with a light tap. They enter a room showcasing exhibits of famous inventors. Frank elucidates that Eiffel, Verne, Tesla, and Edison were the pioneers behind Tomorrowland. They used the Eiffel Tower as an antenna connecting them to the other world. Rumors persisted about a concealed entrance, and after a thorough search, Frank activates it. The Eiffel Tower splits in two, unveiling a rock ET. The trio rushes inside the rocket just as more robots arrive to apprehend them. As the rocket launches, its energy pushes the robots away, soaring into the sky. The rocket ascends until it reaches its peak, then plummets back to Earth, creating a portal as it falls at high speed. After their tumultuous journey, the group arrives in Tomorrowland. Authorities are in pursuit after witnessing their fall, prompting Frank to have Athena conceal a special bomb inside her body. The city governor is the first to confront them, intending to arrest the trio. Frank and Athena manage to change his mind by revealing Casey's ability to lower the percentage on the screens. Intrigued, Nix guides them to the headquarters where Frank's dangerous invention, the touch on machine, is stored. As they take the elevator, Casey catches glimpses of holograms printing flashes of the future. These holograms are caused by the tachon machine, which employs a particle moving faster than light upon reaching the machine's center. Frank instructs Casey on its usage, enabling her to observe any moment in humanity's history. Casey is astounded as she witnesses moments from her own past and learns that the machine can also forecast the future. She races through history until she stumbles upon a grim revelation. The machine predicts the world will end in 58 days. Baffled, Casey questions why they aren't warning people on Earth about this impending catastrophe. Nix, however, dismisses any concern for Earth's fate, stating that it's not Tomorrowland's concern. He adamantly refuses to allow anyone from Earth to move move into Tomorrowland, fearing a repeat of the mistakes that befell Earth. Case vehemently opposes this stance, her determination causing a momentary flicker on the screen, revealing a glimpse of a better world. Frank tries to highlight this glimmer of hope, but Nix disregards it and knocks them all unconscious. As Frank regains consciousness, Athena delivers the news of their impending deportation. Casey, feeling despondent, believes the entire escapade has been futile. When Frank attempts to console her, she lashes out, accusing them of deceit mid-rant. Casey has a sudden epiphany. Frank has been intercepting the machine signal to view it at his house, and this signal floating around Earth is planting these ideas of doom into people's minds. Realizing this could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, Casey concludes that shutting off the signal might bring hope back to humanity before they're escorted out of Tomorrowland through a portal. Casey endeavors to convey her discovery to Nix, urging him to deactivate the machine. However, Nix calmly dismisses the possibility, stating there's no off button. Frank suddenly comprehends the truth. Nix is purposefully implanting the idea of impending doom into people's minds. Nix justifies his actions, revealing that previous attempts to alert the government about the impending disaster were disregarded to warn people and provoke change. He sent the idea directly into their minds as a cautionary message as the tension escalates. Humanity seems resigned to its fate, accepting the world's end. As inevitable, Nix contends that it's humanity's own doing rather than the fault of the machine playing along. Frank shakes hands with Nix, but he cunningly uses the moment to activate the machine platform again, setting off a chaotic sequence of events. Athena and Casey incapacitate the guards while Frank confronts Nix. Nix summons two robots to pursue the girls, escalating the conflict. Frank urges Athena to use the bomb he provided, but as she attempts to, the robots intervene, causing a struggle. Athena manages to pass the bomb to Casey amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, the platform goes haywire due to Frank and Nix's tussle over the bracelet, leading to its erratic movement taking control of one of the robots. Athena uses it to push the other through the portal, which also leads it to attack Nix. Casey, glimpsing a future flash, activates the bomb, but just as she's about to throw it, Nix regains control of the bracelet, causing the platform to plummet. Acting swiftly, Athena maneuvers her robot to catch the falling platform and rushes to the control panel, closing the portal. This action destroys the second robot and leaves Frank and Nix stranded outside in the intense moment. Casey discovers the bomb set to detonate with no other option. Athena reopens the portal, prompting the men to rush back inside. They throw the bomb into the portal, ensuring it detonates far away. As a result, the portal shatters and collapses, trapping Nix underneath. Yet a gun nearby falls within Nix's reach, and he attempts to shoot Frank. Athena, foreseeing this in a flash from the future, rushes to shield Frank as she positions herself between them. Casey wrests the gun away from Nix. Frank, desperate to save Athena, suggests taking her to a repair shop, but she knows time is fleeting. Before her final moments, Athena shares something crucial with Frank. She begins to play a series of recordings from their past, revealing a poignant truth. As a child, Frank harbored a crush on Athena, but he was hurt when he discovered she was a machine. This revelation always troubled Athena, leading her to keep voice diaries detailing how Frank made her experience emotions that robots weren't supposed to feel. Grateful for the revelation about Athena's true feelings, Frank faces the difficult task of bidding farewell, knowing her body is about to self-destruct. Athena suggests using the explosion to halt the machine. Frank, equipped with a jetpack, carries Athena upward. After exchanging their final words, Athena is dropped into the machine, triggering a massive explosion. The debris descends on Nix, leading to his demise. With the explosion, Tomorrowland loses power. Frank endeavors to control the jetpack, aiming for a safe landing in the river, rushing to check on him. Casey joins the conversation about their next steps. Suddenly, a series of future flashes provides them with a plan. First, Frank fixes the portal, allowing Casey to reunite with her family. Together, they embark on restarting the PIN program, constructing a fleet of robots similar to Athena. These robots use portals to travel worldwide, leaving pins for bright minds who might contribute to creating a better future for Earth. The narrative takes a hopeful turn as Frank and Casey work towards inspiring positive change and fostering innovation for the well-being of humanity.